Hello, thanks for coming back to part 2 of our work trip to the Dominican Republic. Here's a bit of a recap for you. So, as I said in the video before, we were flown into the Dominican Republic to help repair an Ohlsen 35 yacht that had sustained a bit of rot damage. She'd sat afloat unattended for 2 years in the harbour in Luberon. All this while, fresh water was running down a mizzenmast onto the mast step and down onto the horn timber, and also teredo worm was munching into some of the planks below the waterline. During the first 2 weeks, we removed the mizzenmast, removed some of the rotten planks, removed the steering gear and gas locker out of the lazarette and stern sheets, and then secured some wood and glued up a piece to use for the new horn timber. This video starts with 2 weeks left to go on the project, and here I am starting to shape the horn timber. At this stage we've removed the old horn timber and I've taken principal dimensions off it, transferred them onto this new piece of laminated timber, and I'm working them in. As I mentioned in the previous video, I'd only bought rechargeable tools because obviously all my power tools will only work in the UK. It was around this time that I realised that the cheap Chinese 110 charger that I bought to recharge my Makita batteries was actually destroying them. I was down to one battery, which was quite annoying, so what I was having to do was work for as long as I could and then recharge the battery and remove planks while it was charging, and then jump back onto this. I found a local taxi driver who kindly said he'd pick me up a battery from Santo Domingo the next time he went to pick up some people from the airport, but that was a couple of days away. What I'm doing here is transferring the bevel on the rebate on the bottom of the horn timber. It's currently sitting upside down now. And what I'm doing is making it a bit small, so once it's fitted I can get the exact angle from the planks on the boat. This is how the planks will sit in the horn timber. And this is the detail of where the horn timber meets the transom at the stern end. As well as being slightly curved, the timber is also thinner at the aft end. Here we are pulling out some of the old bolts that connect the last bit of the horn timber to the knee at the transom. We used Colano Semrock 60 for the scarf join and then Sikaflex for the join at the transom, in case anyone ever needed to take the transom apart. What I'm doing here is clamping up the glue join on the scarf. Next thing was to fit some new bolts. We used silicon bronze. This is a day later, and what's going on here is the glue has gone off and I'm just chiselling away the excess from the scarf join. Here's a close-up of the bit of the join between the old timber and the new. Here's Wallace working in the angle of the rebate on the horn timber, so it matches exactly the angle on the boat. And here's the new timber viewed from inside.
To show you how good this glue is. There's only a tiny amount on there. When we braced up the transom, we put this together. Literally just a tiny little bit of glue, but it won't come undone, which is good to know. Good to know for the scarf that we put in.
At this point in time, we only had 11 days left on the project and the timber for the planks hadn't arrived, so we had to take a couple days off. So we had a look around and enjoyed the local festivities.
Sapili turned up last night. Nice straight grained quarter sawn stuff. This is a graving piece that is going to go in there.
The surveyor had left us a list of jobs to be undertaken, and this was one of them, filling in a little dink in the plank with a graving piece on the port side. We were unable to bring a router, so unfortunately Wallace had to chisel it all out by hand. The idea of fitting a graving piece, or a Dutchman, is that you chisel away the old affected area and get a nice new flat surface to glue the new piece of timber to. Here Wallace is applying the glue prior to fitting in the graving piece. These screws are temporary and are just to help to clamp the piece while the glue goes off. Permanent screws will be fitted after the piece of timber is planed down.
Planed down flush with the hull now. Just need to give it a sand and put the screws back in. So we've got 2 little planks in yesterday. We got 6 days left and 6 planks to put in. I've cut this little one back a bit more from where it was. This one is going to come out up into about there, but I'm waiting to get this plank in first so I can see the lines a lot easier. So I'll put these 2 smaller planks in and then do this bigger one. And then there's a bigger one on this side and then 2 here. That tapping you can hear is a woodpecker up trying to make a hole in an aluminium mast up there. So yeah, there we go. Wish us luck.
Here I'm putting in pilot holes, getting ready to accept the butt block onto the old plank.
Here's a little tip. I put some masking tape on this drill so I know how far for it to go in the plank. So the butt block is in.
Mind your hand, I'm just going to gun in this little corner. Can I put a...
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to screw here. So you just move that there.
Okay.
Come through. Should have done. You just stay there a minute. Put as hard as you can. Okay, now I need to get the dolly. You're going to have to push down again. You ready? You can move it nearer the nail.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
2 more probably. Okay. So now if you get the rove.
Yeah.
Chuck the rove on. It's possible we might need to drill them out because the holes are a bit small, but this will be a test. Tell me when you're ready. Oh man, hang on.
Turns out the holes were too small in the roves.
So when I bought the robes from Anglia Stainless back in England, they didn't have the right size, which means in order for this to go easily down the nail, I'm going to have to drill all of these out, or at least all the ones I need to use. Annoying, but that's life. This is where we're nailing. It's a tight space in here.
Here we are fixing some nails into some of the new planks. In an ideal world, I would have liked to put longer planks in, but we were constrained by how many fixings we had, and also how much time we had to get the job done. Here I'm just doing a bit of fairing, i.e. knocking down the thickness of the planks I fitted with the planer. I'm just doing a bit as I go along so I don't have to do it all in one massive go at the end.
I'm going to show you how to spile a plank. I'm going to start with this. This is my template.
I couldn't find any thin plywood locally, but I did manage to find this 1/4 inch green MDF which works out quite well for template making.
This is a little scribing block I've just made. There are lots of ways to spile a plank, but this is one of the quickest and simplest.
So here I'm just walking along the length of the plank, transferring the shape onto my template.
Here you can see where I've marked out with the scribing block about every 6 inches or so. And that way I've got the information about the width of the plank.
I'm happy to say that by this point I had 2 new batteries, both a 3 amp and a 5 amp.
What tool?
Although a very quick method, the Achilles heel is that you have to be really careful in transferring the marks. Any mistake here will then be transferred onto the plank you're cutting out.
This technique with the spiling block to get out the planks is very easy, but it will only work if the plank edges are square to the frames. Once they start beveling, you need to use a different technique. Luckily for me, this area of planking is on a very flat run.
I did have to create a slight concave on the internal forward end of the plank, as there's a radius in the hull there. I did this by using the angle grinder with a 40 grit sanding disc on it. Here I'm attaching a spiling batten to the planking stock. This will allow me to get a nice smooth line in between the marks I've created. I say line, but I actually mean curve. This obviously has to be done for both the upper and lower edge of the plank. With the shape marked out on the planking stock, it's then time to cut it out. Here I'm putting a small bevel on the plank to accommodate the caulking cotton and the putty in the seam.
So plank is nearly in, just wants a bit more persuading at either end.
With the plank cut out and tightly fitted, it's then time to nail it in place. Wallace is on the inside, putting the rows on. I've drawn the short straw and I've got the dolly on the outside. Just doing a bit more fairing here. With a few more planks to go, the process continues. Marking up, cutting out, and then fitting.
This one the hand with the
There were a lot of yacht stands kicking around the boatyard, which came in really handy.
Gonna get and just a touch of that.
With another plank fitted, it's time to secure it.
Here we are. We are nearly done, but it's raining. We've got 2 planks to put in. Then we have to fair, cork, putty, put the bilge pump skin fitting in, and then we're done. We got what, 3 days?
Yeah.
3 days left. So it's tight, and yeah, as I say, it's raining today, so we need to make some sort of cover. Got anything to add, Wallace?
It's cold as well for the first time. And
It's not cold.
It's the coldest day it's been so far.
I don't know if you can quite make this out on the camera, but what I'm trying to remove, there's the spline. At some point somebody's put a spline. It was obviously overcorked in the past, or the planks had shrunk, it was leaking too much, so someone's glued in a spline on some of the joins between the planks. So in order to get this plank out without damaging this plank, I'm having to remove the spline. So just about there with that one, then I can take this little plank out and get a new one in. Look at that, eh? Workbench upgrade. It's Monday the 2nd of Feb, and we got 1 plank in and another one ready to come out, and Wallace has also done some caulking on the starboard side. It's still raining. We're going to call it quits for the day, come back in the morning and get this last plank in. No vehicles can get to the boatyard today because the path down is too muddy. Hello, welcome to another episode of Piles. I was amazed on the last episode that nobody mentioned how many times I said the word horn timber or hornbeam, which is a tree. So today I'd like you to guess the weight of my piles, and the winner will win a stamped addressed envelope to yourself. Thanks very much. Okay, all the planks are on. It's 3 o'clock. We got the rest of today and tomorrow. We've got to finish caulking, filling, got the bilge pump to refit on the port side, then put the gas locker back together, put everything back in the lockers, and then if there's enough paint, give it a coat of primer. But that is us done. She is all patched up. So this is the work we've done inside. It's gotten a bit wet, it's a tight, but you can see the planks are sitting nicely on the horn timber. There's the floors, that's the new mast step. The other side. Morning. So it's our last day. All the planks are in. We had a rapid filling session last night, which was horrible as the mosquitoes and the no-see-ums were attacking us. But we needed to get the epoxy in the nail and screw holes so it would go off so we can sand it today. Obviously it's putty in between the planks, but we've epoxied where the nails are. So we need to sand this down, sand the stem down, fit the skin fitting and bilge pump, and sort of have a tidy up, put everything back where it was. But we're nearly there.
It was inevitable that on the last day we'd have quite a lot of sanding to do. Unfortunately for us, the little cordless Makita sander that I brought along had broken. Luckily though, we met a really nice guy called Richard who was on a couple of boats along from us, and he offered to lend us his sander. Without this, we wouldn't have been able to do a nice sanding job.
I've got the skin fitting fitting tightly in this hole, but obviously because the hull has a bit of a radius on it, what I need to do is knock down the middle with the plane so that this sits more flush. So that's what I'm about to do now. You can see it's nice and tight. Just plane this flush, so hopefully the skin fitting will sit better on there now.
I'm really happy to say that the day before our flight was due to take us away, we finished the job, on time and on budget. Someone else is coming to look over Halcyon's engine and make a temporary repair to her mast, and then she can safely transit to Antigua and have the rest of the work done.
We did it, and yeah, I'm pleased, and I need a new hat now.
About time.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.
I'd like to say a massive thanks to Adam Wallace for coming to help me with the job, and apologise for my voice. I think I picked up COVID, or at least man flu, on the way back home. Thanks for watching everyone. Cheers.